Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
I'm Nick. I'll be your guest for the next couple hours.
Thank you. And Spence is here.
Hello, I'll be your conscience for the next couple of hours.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to watch you.
I must have been I must have done something good to deserve that.
Yes, we're going to watch you like a hawk.
Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software, by DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And now that everything is working...
it's also made possible by electricity.
Electricity by Thomas Edison.
Well, does Alexander Graham Bell get credit as well?
Absolutely. Let's give him.
Yes.
Yeah, let's give him.
And the person who invented foam for your chair, Amnon, he should get credit.
But what about the guy that invented the computer screen?
Yep. Him too.
What about the guy that invented the microphone?
No. He
doesn't
just created problems.
I want to thank the Chinese for developing everything, for selling me everything I have to use in this computer to do the show.
Does everybody thinks that we're going kind of off the deep end? You're right.
Don't forget duct tape.
So, Nick, you pulled some cable this weekend.
Yeah, before we talk about pulling cable, let's talk about pulling the plug on shitty internet providers. Excuse my language.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you need to wait a little bit so there's more listeners.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I want to just write it down and
well, so you mentioned, I won't forget. We'll never forget.
Yeah.
So I did a job for our good friend, Mr. Streaming Gear, the Mr. Tom Sinclair. At a church, installing a couple cameras, running some cable, and getting all of that stuff into the VMix software. So yeah, busy and long day yesterday. That's for sure.
During the service, you did it?
Yes.
Isn't that disruptive?
Oh yes. Yeah,
Excuse me, Pastor, while I wrap this cable around
you. Yeah. So. Yep. Busy day. About 13 and a half hours, but it's done.
Good. That's a productive day.
You ain't kidding.
That's what I like to call them, productive days.
Absolutely.
Yep. PTZ cameras.
Yep.
You were telling me about the optics, and I was thinking there was a picture, like a short video of a camera that was mounted way, way, way back, looking at somewhere where there was, crowds. The crowd was filling. You could see tens of thousands of people, little bitty. And the whole idea was that you can zoom in and you can see a face of a person way, way in the front of the thing. And I can't remember how far from it was, but it was far. It was probably 300-400 yards away, if not more. And it worked. You could zoom in, zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom, and you see the person like he's standing next to you. optics are something else. The way
Digitally enhanced optics.
it's just amazing that things like that can be done with pieces of glass, isn't it?
On TV, they say, or they show on shows that you can take a blurry night picture and zoom in on a license plate and read it.
Hey, yes, Spence, can you enhance that?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I love those shows. Oh, we'll just run some software and we'll have, and that
Yeah.
shows it like moving pixels around and stuff. Oh, we got the license plate number or the person's picture. And now I prefer shows that say, nope, that picture's too grainy. Won't get anything out of that.
I love the ones when they say, "Oh, we don't see the face. That person is talking to somebody else." Well, focus on the eye of the other person,
Oh,
zoom in, and
reflection.
and
Yeah.
you see a perfect picture of the yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, it's amazing. Some of these cameras are something else. No
One
doubt.
thing I got from the going to the Apex Community Police the what is it? It's not Community Police Academy. It's the Community Police Academy for citizens, was that nothing that's depicted on TV is real. It's all exaggerated or fabricated, or just to fit the whatever it is they want to, the drama that they want to do. They said it just
Mm-hmm.
the closest thing to watch is that, well, Cops, and that's gone. Right, that show has been canceled.
Yeah, yesterday evening, Kathy started watching. I think it was on Hulu. Lie to Me. Have you ever seen that show?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And it's an outfit that's fighting crime and selling the services. And what the experts there are doing is expressions. They look at how people talk and they can tell you whether they lie, whether this, and it's like, oh, look, yeah, he's lying. He's not believing a word he's saying. I mean, and it's all throughout the show. They're finding out who is the real criminal. And I said, boy, wouldn't that be nice if this was possible? And they take these guys and put them in court. And really, it's always the right person is going to end up behind bars, not the wrong person.
Well, police and say they can tell interrogations. They know when somebody's lying because all they have to do is ask a bunch of leading questions. Because people, if you ask them and they're trying to lie to you about what they did, your
Yeah,
brain
there's something
acts
but
different
but here
because
it's
you're putting the story together. If there's a hesitation, or when you're defending yourself, if you skip a beat kind of a thing, they can tell. So
Mhm.
they'll use that as a way to draw people out. And
yeah, but to look at an audience in a funeral and look at the face of somebody and say, okay, yeah, this person
body
is,
language, yeah.
it's if that was, oh boy.
Wasn't there a show? There was a show several years ago that was all about, the guy was a specialist who was hired to go out and read people. There's been a lot of versions of this, but I can't remember. It was around for a couple of years.
Don't know. Um, shoot, I was thinking about something and it just left.
Where'd it go?
I have no idea. I'm looking.
Hmm.
I don't see it. It went somewhere.
Sam says, let's talk about how bad Windows 10 is. Why? I mean, I mean, seriously. I mean, how is it any worse than, okay, fine. You want to talk about updates? That's fine. Every Windows OS since XP has had issues with updates. I don't know how Windows 10 is worse than any of the others.
I have not heard a word about the latest updates. I mean, it went through on all the computers here and no problem.
I mean, there are issues, of course. There always is. That's the, that you have two different choices when you decide you want to invest in a computer ecosystem. You can choose OS X, which the hardware and software is made by one company in an incredibly tested lockdown environment, or you choose Windows, where you can literally scavenge parts from AliExpress, put it together, and and literally it will run. And there are disadvantages of that. There are also advantages. The fact that I can sit in front of an AMD 3900X CPU and 64 gigs of RAM and terabytes of M.2 storage. There's pros and cons. Are there issues with Windows updates? Absolutely, but you're talking about a hardware market that there are literally thousands of variants between motherboards and processors, and it's
think about
incredible.
having to support all that.
The fact that it works at all is insane.
You know what I think? As we were talking here, I had a thought to say that, what really is different that makes Windows annoying is the way they roll out their updates now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Spence.
It's just if you're not aware of what the defaults are, and there's a problem in the update, you could really be impacted. But if you are aware of the fact that you can delay and put stuff off until it's proven, it's a little bit of
But
an
that's
advantage.
a double.
I have all mine delayed, so it does not automatic when they want to do it.
Yeah, but but to be fair, and I've told this to Amnon multiple times, this is Amnon's fault. All joking aside. People didn't do updates on XP, Vista, and Windows 7, and it left a terrible reputation for Windows because there were security flaws, because people didn't want to do updates. And Windows finally had enough of dealing with old, out-of-date operating systems, so now they're forcing updates down people's throats, and I don't blame them. It's a terrible PR stretch when you've got a flawed update that's been out. There's been an update or a patch for a year, and 40% of your user base is still running the operating system.
I agree with you.
They've given the users have given them no choice but to shove these updates down your throat. It's our own fault.
Yeah,
if we would have just done the damn updates, they wouldn't be like this.
That's what I was going to say, Spence. It's a double-edged sword.
Yes. Yep.
And I found out that hey, let Windows do it. I delayed by 7 days. That's it.
Yeah,
just
and that's
to
what
see
I'm saying.
that there's nothing serious, and then
average
go
user
ahead and do it.
Average user doesn't know that. So if Windows could say, hey, when our updates come out, you got to find it. You got to go drill down into the updates page to find it where you can delay it. And now it's 30 days max now. It used to be longer, right?
Yeah, it used to be a year.
Yeah.
And I would make the argument that unless you're running proprietary hardware, or in fringe cases, proprietary software, there's no reason for you not to do the updates.
Right.
Now, a company that really has the updates figured out and is doing a great job is Dominion.
Oh, yes.
They have people that show up during the counting process.
Flash drives,
plug in flash drives to help speed the thing along. It's amazing. They're so proactive, and they carefully save all that data on a server in Spain or Germany. It's very, very good. It's great. And they're so out there ahead of everything. 1803. Yeah, version 1803.
I've got an update pending right now. My computer's been on all weekend.
Yeah,
I've got a 20H2, which is 2020-11, the big November update, standing by. So I'll do that probably tonight when I go to bed.
This time. I mean, I'm surprised. It's just I didn't see anything yet. I mean, I may, but I don't think so.
We've rolled it out to about 400 or 500 computers at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe as of yet we've had any major issues.
Yep.
But we've done it to about half. Maybe a quarter of our computers. Actually, no, probably a third.
All right. Let's see here. Here's something to think about. the number of broadband power users, which is people who use 1 terabyte or more per month, has doubled over the past year, ensuring that ISPs will be able to make more money from data caps. In the third quarter of 2020, 8.8% of broadband subscribers used at least 1 terabyte per month, up from 4.2% in the third quarter of 2019, according to a study released yesterday. OpenVolt is the company that released the study, is a vendor that sells data usage tracking platforms to cable, fiber, and wireless ISPs, and has 150 operators as customers worldwide. Now, this is nice. Yeah, it will allow ISPs to make more money, but they are forgetting. I mean, something in this article, when I read it, I said, well, wait a second. The third quarter, all the ISPs in the States did away with caps, right?
No.
Comcast did. AT&T.
No, they still have caps.
Huh?
They may have temporarily waived them.
Well, AT&T is still no caps until the end of the year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but they're going to come back.
Oh, yeah, they're going to come back. But they're saying that, and I think when people knew, oh, well, I don't have caps, then it's like, hey, I've got a lot of money, so I'm going to spend it. I don't know that this is accurate to look at that period with COVID and say, this is the way it's going to be. Yeah, I was surprised. I went to check on my AT&T usage, and at one time it was 249 megabytes and 29 days left. I said, what? And it was right when it switched over. And the next time I went to look, it says 100 megabytes out of unlimited. I said, oh, they did away with caps. But then I was reading and found out that AT&T extended the no caps until the end of the year, which is nice. I mean, normally it's the only thing I use the AT&T for on a regular basis is for the reruns machine, and it's 24/7 videos, and it only uses about 400 or 500 meg. So I don't know how somebody would use a whole lot. It's 8% of broadband subscribers. I mean, that's a lot of people that use a lot of data. That's not 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000.
Yeah,
That's
millions.
a lot.
Billions and billions and billions.
So we'll see if that's
more people than are registered to vote.
That's a good one, Spence. But yeah, it's interesting that something like, and then there was an article about the fact that a lot of rural areas, and they had North Carolina, have no internet.
Most of North Carolina is rural. I mean, you've got like 6 or 7 big cities, and everything else is the textbook definition of rural. Like literally
have
the definition of rural, like it meets the criteria to be considered rural. You may have 10 or 15 cities that aren't, but for the whole,
lucky to have
rest
cell
of the
phone
state is,
service.
Some areas you don't have cell phone service.
That's what I'm saying. They're lucky to have that. I remember I briefly worked for a place in Randleman, and going there, when I drove there, I used to take some back roads, and there was no service. It was amazing. People, houses everywhere, mostly farms, but no service.
And even on like major interstates. I mean, when I go up to like Fayetteville, I take 421 from Wilmington. There's stretches of 421 with very low or no cell service.
Well, in those areas that they don't have any internet other than wireless, uh, and that even doesn't work.
Well, they all
Well,
have a phone service. They all have DSL,
but that's what I'm saying. They were talking about a
just not
lot of these
broadband.
places that
Understood.
it's not working. Schools now, because of COVID, they were saying in North Carolina, what teachers started doing is putting everything on flash drives and sending it to the students once every 2 weeks to be able to participate, because a lot of people can't get any kind of decent
Well,
connectivity.
that's a failure of the school system.
Well, yeah.
I
Well, in
mean, remote
fairness,
learning is great, but if it's physically impossible
Right.
due to bandwidth limitations, then you have to do in-person learning. There's just no ifs,
Well-
ands, or buts about it. I mean, I get there's a pandemic going on and there's health stuff, that's fine, but if you literally can't do remote learning, then either just cancel school, just get rid of it for the year.
Well, that's what they've done in Los
ju-
Angeles. Los Angeles schools will not reopen until 2021.
I mean, it's
Earliest.
just either cancel it or do in person. Because I mean, and the remote learning doesn't work either. Without getting too political, in New Hanover County, 36% of middle school students are failing at least one class.
Yeah, people are not happy with the fact that their A students have gone to BC students.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get it. It was a last minute switch, and nobody was prepared for it. The teachers weren't. The school district wasn't. The students sure as hell weren't. I'm very thankful that this didn't happen when I was in school, because I guarantee I would be failing every single one of my classes.
Yeah, that's a bad situation, to say the least.
Yeah, hopefully, it'll be resolved here
Hopefully.
soon.
Um,
Hey, Arnie, stop making fun of me.
no, Arnie is saying my Ooma is arriving next week. AT&T, goodbye. Um,
I
I
love
actually,
AT&T.
I don't. You're talking about the phone service from AT&T, goodbye, because I use Ooma, but for Ooma you need internet service.
No, it doesn't run off. I thought it ran off the atomic clock.
Yeah, I mean it works great. Don't misunderstand me. I got the only thing is I sort of like get I spoiled by them when I had both lines with them. Uh, so you have the Premiere and you have all these call blocking. But when I got Anvio, I dropped Uma to the free plan that you just pay the taxes every month, and there's no way to block calls. Absolutely no way. So, but you get what you pay for, and it's a good service. It works. Okay, so if you have internet service, yeah, you're fine. But
I still have Ooma, and I use some of their security stuff. And the only complaint I have about
you mean home security?
home security,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, the sensors for
Right.
the doors,
Yeah.
and I didn't want a monitored system. They offer it, but I don't use monitor.
Right.
But I use the water sensor. I use the garage door sensor. So the one thing that I have not figured out why it keeps failing is the geofencing service. When you can set it up, Pam and I both have it on our phones. So when we leave the house, once it detects that we're gone, it's supposed to change this from home to away. And her phone keeps resetting itself back to use location only when the app is running. And I keep putting it back to always, and it keeps changing it back to while the app is running. And I don't know why. My phone's fine. But this way, if she leaves or I leave or we both leave, we know. I get the messages. She doesn't get them. Because I want to know if I'm away and she's away and the front door opens, I
Yeah.
can go look at my
Yeah.
camera, and if I have to call the police, right in the app is a 911 button that calls direct, representing me. My caller ID shows where I actually live, and it goes to the right agency. So it's actually pretty good. But and I know other people do it now too. But Ooma was the one I invested some time into. The other thing I like about them is their sensors don't run on Wi-Fi. They run on 900 megahertz. So it's not something that a thief would know to jam. If they, I know what Simply Safe, I think, has a backup battery in their base station that runs over cellular. So there is still service. But
Yeah, it works. And I don't think anybody today carries around a 900 megahertz jammer.
Oh, I do. I keep a 900 megahertz system in my car just in
That's
case
it.
I need to pull up to somebody's house.
Nick has a
Turn on the PA.
full spectrum jamming system in his car.
I do.
It can jam radar. It can jam.
Yep,
You name
FAA.
it.
It'll
That's
jam
it.
weather. It's a weather blocker. So if it's raining, I'll turn it on and it takes the weather away.
That's
It blocks the NSA. It blocks satellites. It blocks.
It's one of those big
location
HARP
services.
transmitters, right? Like in
It is,
Alaska.
yeah. Mhm,
That they
absolutely.
can fry the upper atmosphere.
Does it jam bread?
Absolutely.
Does it will cook anything in its path?
That's
Yeah, exactly. Arnie says it's called amateur radio. Exactly. Just put enough power through an antenna or something, and it'll jam something.
It's like
Morning,
the
Gal.
discovered microwave.
Good morning.
The smile on your face takes a big load off my shoulders.
I wrote. I just woke up late. That's all.
That's fine. That's good. Good. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
But I just realized you're saying jamming radio and ham radio. They had something with food, huh?
Yeah.
Ham and cheese radio.
Turkey radio starts in about a week and a half.
Did you see? That's a great joke. It says you can only have 6 people at Thanksgiving, but 30 people at a funeral. I'm having a funeral for my turkey whose planned demise is on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
How about a trial?
Mhm.
Is there a limit to participating in a trial? Then you do a trial for murder.
Oh, true. You need to kill somebody, though. That's the thing.
The turkey.
No, you kill the turkey.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Take that son of a bitch out back and hit it with a shotgun. Then it's good to go.
but you'd be picking out all the
The buckshot.
buckshot. That's not good.
It's seasoning.
Man, I hate.
Just don't put it in your
The
oven;
fall.
it will explode.
Wasn't there a movement to get rid of lead buckshot? Now it's not lead anymore.
I
Or
have
it's,
no
it's
idea.
because people were concerned about lead getting spread around. But that's the worst kind of lead poisoning. It's
Yeah,
if you get
buckshot.
shot.
Yeah, with
lead
buckshot.
poisoning,
Yeah,
severe lead
I got
poisoning.
shot with. I got shot with buckshot right in the face the other day, and the lead poisoning really hurt me.
That's it.
All right. So
Can I talk about AT&T now?
you can. That's actually a good time. Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's all I've got. Thanks for joining.
Go ahead.
All right. So, talked about it last week on the show. Major issues with AT&T during peak internet hours, which was about 6-ish p.m. to about 1 a.m. the next morning. The service would become unusable. There was, I would get very, very high latency, very, very high packet loss. Speeds were fine, but because of the packet loss, it didn't matter. So about 3 weeks of going back and forth with AT&T on this to no avail. So I finally bit the bullet and re-signed up for Spectrum, got them out here. I've got 400 by 20 coax service, which is not as fast as AT&T, but it's stable. So I called AT&T on Thursday or Friday or Wednesday to cancel.
Thursday.
called, spoke to the, asked to speak to the billing department, told them I needed to cancel my service. Okay, no problem. And then the guy said to me, would you like to speak to somebody on our advanced technical team to try and resolve your problem? Which I promptly told him to go F himself. And said, cancel my, and at this point I was being, I was being incredibly rude. And I just, I got triggered. I'm going to be frank. I got really triggered. Um, and told him to, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was a complete asshole. And but justifiably, because for 3 weeks I had been calling, trying to speak to somebody in their advanced technical team, and they told me that there was nobody available, there was nobody to talk to, and that I just pretty much had to deal with having unusable internet service during, oh, I don't know, the time that I'm home and actually using it, which is, from dinner time till midnight. Um, so when he asked me to, if I wanted to speak to somebody in the advanced technical team, I lost my cool. But AT&T is canceled. They're gonna have to come pick up their garbage, and yeah, that's it. No more fiber. It was great for let's see, January, July, August, September, October, 3 months, 3, 4 months. It worked, but it just finally hit a point where unusable, literally unusable. Could not. The internet was unusably slow. So that is
Yeah.
the AT&T saga. I'll tell you what, if the service works, it's fantastic. But
I mean, it's just
AT&T's customer support, and I'll say this: I work in customer support. I work for a managed service provider. I'm actually the service coordinator for a managed service provider, so I know customer support. It's literally what I do, 40+ hours a week. So I understand customer support. I understand customer satisfaction. I understand being able to resolve an issue. And AT&T's unwillingness to, they could see the problem. The techs I talked to could log into my modem, do a trace route to anywhere, and see, oh my God, you're getting 350 milliseconds ping or latency between your house and a Google data center, and could see the issue, but did not have a solution. Their final solution to me was to mail a letter to AT&T's legal department in Atlanta, Georgia, and wait 30 to 45 business days for somebody to reach back out to me to potentially resolve my issue. That was their final solution, was to print out screenshots and mail. I'm not fax, not email, mail. Physically put something in a mailbox and send it to their legal department, not their tech department, not their advanced technical team. AT&T legal. That was their final solution. And at that point, there was not going to be any resolution to my service. I am just blown away that I would say AT&T is probably the largest telecommunication company in the world, between AT&T Mobile, AT&T, residential with Uverse, and then all of the backbone stuff that AT&T provides for people all over the globe. The fact that I couldn't speak to somebody that, first of all, could barely speak English, and solution was to just factory reset my equipment over and over again was mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. So I called Spectrum on Monday. Excuse me, called Spectrum on Tuesday, had the equipment at my house Wednesday, had a Spectrum tech here Wednesday night to run the line into my house, and had internet service by about 6 o'clock Wednesday night. So less than a 48-hour turnaround from start to finish from Spectrum. AT&T pretty much told me to go F myself and pound sand. And that was, that's the reality of it. The service was great. The price was right. Having gigabit internet was freaking amazing. But on multiple occasions when I had tech issues, they were unwilling or unable to get me to somebody that would even entertain my issue. And the problem was I knew enough to be dangerous. And I couldn't get any help. I knew what the issue was, but I couldn't get any help. very unfortunate. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
my that's my story. I say this: buyer beware. If you're, literally one of the reasons I moved here was because, not one of the reasons, one of the things I was looking at when purchasing property was, um, if AT&T was available, and fortunately, I have a choice of two providers because I know a lot of people don't, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have a coax service available from Spectrum, and have that. So,
but now everything is working. Maybe a little slower, but you probably don't. I
well,
mean,
I do, but it's better than service that doesn't work at all. So,
right. It's fine.
yeah. So, maybe we'll give AT&T another shot in the coming, maybe, next year. Um, we'll
When
see.
they get their shit together.
I don't understand it. I really, I don't, I, I'm really
Yeah.
struggling to wrap my head around their lack of customer service. I can't, and I'm sorry for sounding like a broken record, but I cannot understand it. And I'll tell you what, shit on Spectrum all you want, their customer service is phenomenal. I have said this for years, and you can go back and listen to the archives. Amnon, this is true. I have always, you may say there's issues with their service, it's too expensive, it's slow. If you have an issue with your service, their customer support is second to none. It's always been that way, and it was that case with my install. And I can guarantee you, if I had had that issue with Spectrum, they would have found a resolution to my problem.
And
AT&T was unwilling to do anything to try to
that's
resolve my issue.
that's the problem. I mean, this is not rocket science. I mean, here is one circuit that doesn't work, and I mean, I've been reading about that problem, and a lot of people were saying, "Yep, I had the same problem, and it turned out to be at the node. They had to
Yep.
do this." And what is this? Not able to reset and give you another IP address? Give me a break.
That was the only
You
thing that
know,
didn't change. Everything else changed. I got new modems, new wires, new ONTs, everything. Different power supplies. I plugged a power strip in, or an extension cord on the other side of my house to make sure that, I don't know, maybe there's an issue with the power. Nothing changed. Everything changed, but my IP address. I tried to buy a static IP. They wouldn't let me. I tried everything. I mean, I was willing to pay an extra $15 a month to resolve my issue. To resolve their issue. I was willing to pay more for my service to resolve their issue. They wouldn't even let me. So
yeah,
I'll say it
with
I'll say it one more time. If you have the option between AT&T, I recommend the service, but just be aware that if you have a technical issue, you are shit out of luck. They will not help you.
yeah, with Spectrum, I think twice in the last 10, 15 years, there were problems with losing packets and TV is messed up and all that. The guy will come out, will put his meter on different junctions in the cable, and right away we'll figure out what the problem is. One time it was just loose. Another time he said, no, that cable is not good enough for our new service. They brought, I mean, the next day or two, they brought that big machine and they bore the cable for all the way from our driveway all the way to Jones Franklin Road, which is what, but 200 yards. I
Yeah.
mean, they were working there all day and they put new cable in the ground. Everything is fine. I mean, this is service. This is what you. I mean, over
And,
here,
and,
I
and
don't,
again, the thing that frustrates me is that AT&T is not some podunk
right?
ISP.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not, backwoods ISP. This is
right.
I think they are probably the largest telecommunication company in the world.
Yeah,
And, every time I've dealt with the tech in person, it's been fine. The guy that came out 2 weekends ago, Halloween, it was the Sunday after the day after Halloween. was super nice and worked on my issue and tried to resolve it. And during the day, I wasn't experiencing the packet loss, so we thought we'd resolve the issue.
Yeah,
But just freaking ridiculous.
it's all right. You're okay now.
Yeah, I mean, and it affected a lot of the stuff I was doing. It screwed up with Infection Podcast. The audio and video for 3 weeks now has been awful.
Mhm.
I mean, it made it. I mean, literally at night, I'd go lay in bed and try to pull up a YouTube video, and it would take forever to load. Just because I had to just retry over and over and over again to get those packets in. So
Yep. But you
out
got
with the
it
bad,
now.
in with the good. Yep.
That's a packet problem. You have all your packets are getting they're leaky packets.
Yep.
The contents are leaking out, so it takes a while to figure it out.
Must be that polybutylene piping leaking.
That's it.
All right.
It's the problem is they start out, the pipe is 6 inches where it starts, and when it gets to your house, it's only ½ inch.
Spence,
Good pressure, though.
Are you ready for your
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Hold on. Before
Yeah,
Spence goes to
yeah.
specials, can I do something real quick?
Yes, sir.
I bought a computer. Wait, no, sorry. Go ahead. Do
The first
specials.
one? Your first one?
Yeah, I did. My first computer. My mommy and daddy bought it for me. The TI 84 Plus. No,
Cool.
sorry. Do specials. I'll do it after. Sorry.
Are we ready? We're ready. And
Are we
today
ready?
it's a slight departure, although we will mention products. Today's specials is about today's tech that was predicted by science fiction. And there's a lot. I mean, as I started to go through this, I realized there's no way. I spent a little over 2 hours on this morning, just researching this and finding stuff. And I got to the point, I was like, I'm out of room. I'm out of time. I got to stop. So there's more and more that we can cover here. But think about the things that are out there that you saw in science fiction movies when you were a kid, or on television shows, science fiction shows, or read in books. I mean, I read a lot of I have over the years read a lot of science fiction novels. Many, 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 hundreds of them. Still have most of them. That where technology that was talked about then is happening now. So let's start out with tablets. Who can remember one of the first representations of tablets in a movie? The first time I saw it was in 1968. I was 13 years old. And the movie was 2001: A Space Odyssey. Anybody remember when the crew members aboard the Discovery were watching videos and working having food, and they were sitting there with these flat screen tablets that they would use to either communicate or to do onboard ship functions. Nobody realizes that in that movie, all of the computer screens that they showed were animation, because computer technology did not exist yet to show the type of graphics that they were showing in the movie. So all the navigation screens it shows, where that looked like early real-time computer graphics with changing vectors and all that stuff, is animation. So this was all predicted. Stanley Kubrick, the movie just started to work on the movie in like 1964. So absolutely fascinating. 1 year before the landing on the moon, tablets were predicted. The next major representation of that was something on Star Trek Next Generation, where they had something called the PAD, the PAAD, which is the Personal Access Display Device, which was really, really close to a tablet because it was a touchscreen color interface that the crew members used. And that was in 1987. And that's thank Gene Roddenberry for that future look. He was responsible for a lot of other stuff we'll talk about on earlier Star Trek television shows. But here we have today iPads. You can buy one on sale. Maybe I got a 10.2-inch latest model Wi-Fi 32 gig iPad for $250 on sale. This is right today at Best Buy. It's going to be $329. But there we go. Okay, computer games. I know it goes back, if it was 1968, which is 2001 again, where we show computer chess with HAL being the onboard computer. We'll talk about that more later.
Good
That was
evening.
actually done on a screen, a flat screen, with a stylus. I didn't see anywhere as I looked through the movie, there were control panels that had buttons on them, but there were no keyboards that I could find as I looked through stills of the movie. So, Computer Chess with HAL, 1968 and 2001. And then Star Wars A New Hope, the Dejaric Holochess. Do you remember that from? It's been used in several versions of the movie where they had the this holo chess game on the Millennium Falcon. I think was it used in the very last movie? I know when they found the Millennium Falcon all messed up and they started using it again, they dusted off this thing, took the cover off, and it basically worked. And they were playing it kind of as an homage back to the original show. So now you can do. It's not. I wouldn't call it holographic yet, but it'll get there close. You can go and buy a PlayStation 5 for $4.99. It's pretty cool. Artificial
No, you can't.
intelligence.
It's sold out.
It is. Oh yeah, all this stuff is sold out because of people being home.
Yep.
Yep. Artificial intelligence. Now there are a lot of references to this in books going back, sci-fi books, not too far back. I mean, but meaning not more than 100 years. But one of the first big representations of this in a film is a film called Metropolis. It was done by a German producer back in 1927. It was a silent film. And where they had an AI cyborg, they had created an artificial intelligence that actually could become close to being human. Well, that was if anybody's never seen that movie, I highly recommend that you go watch Metropolis. It's great. Very future looking. The sets and the art, the graphic design on this show is incredible. It's mostly Art Deco type stuff, but just so forward looking. 1927, absolutely amazing. And then back to 2001. HAL. Anybody know what HAL means? What that abbreviation is for?
Yeah.
Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer. One other bit of trivia that people don't maybe not know is that HAL, HAL, is one letter. Each of those letters is one letter off from spelling another word, another company name. Anybody know what it is?
Yeah,
IBM.
IBM. Yeah.
H, the next letter is I, A, the next letter is B, and L, the next letter is M, IBM. So whether that was put in there intentionally or just happened to be a coincidence, I think it was put in intentionally as a way to mention IBM. Pretty cool. So the HAL 9000 introduced in 2001 and 1968. Who was the, trying to remember the name of the guy who did the voice, Douglas something. He just died recently. He actually came back in 2010, the year we made Contact, the sequel, where he did the voice again. So did Keir Delay, who played one of the astronauts. Pretty cool. And what do we have now? We have Alexa. We have other devices that are getting better and better with AI. So now the Alexa will soon answer questions you haven't even asked yet. Well, how do they do that? Use artificial intelligence. So it's out there and inexpensively part of our lives everywhere. We really have no idea how much it's used. It's used in business everywhere. Anybody that does modeling and predictions and things are using artificial intelligence, whether it's really sophisticated or not. I did want to mention one thing here that I just didn't have enough room or time. We talked about it, I think, a movie called Colossus, the Foreman Project.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie. Back, I think it was it had to be the late 60s, early 70s, something like that, where it's the same concept that was used for the Terminator, where there was a supercomputer intelligence that they handed off to control the defense of the country, and it took over. basically, and um, became the ultimate ruler and would launch missiles if anybody disagreed with him. Right, just took over everything that was computer connected. Very good movie. Very
If you didn't
very,
drink, it would shoot a missile off. It told you when you wanted you to drink, use the bathroom.
That's
was
it. Yeah,
very
they had
demanding.
a lot of
computer.
missiles. A lot of missiles are flying. You know,
Yeah.
you make a bad choice somewhere. It's like you get a test. You take a test and you get one question wrong. That's it. Missiles coming in. So
Eat the
Okay.
wrong food.
so virtual reality, and I have to say I used a lot of sources to find this stuff, but I didn't outwardly plagiarize anybody's information. I used it and I researched it and I didn't just copy, except for the last page actually. And I did give credit to the person that produced the page, and you'll see virtual reality. But the earliest reference I could find to the concept of virtual reality was something called Pygmalion Spectacles, which was a novel by Stanley Weinbaum from 1935, where he talked about how you could put on this helmet and experience other worlds. So as early as 1935, people were thinking about this, and this is before the real advent. Television was around on very limited basis. There were maybe a few hundred televisions in the United States in 1935. They did exist.
Started at WGY in Schenectady, New York.
Yeah, way back. And they had Germany actually had a lot of implementation of television. They carried the 1936 Olympics on television, but very early. And I'm sure as we go go forward, there's lots and lots more virtual reality and mentioned in movies and in books. But this was one of the earliest mentions of it. Maybe other people have thought about it before that. But another very obscure mention of it, and I didn't get into the holodeck from Star Trek. Everybody knows about that stuff. That's why I figured let's mention some obscure stuff. There was a TV show in Japan in 1974 called Space Battleship Yamato. And in that, this is the picture that's here is a representation of the comic book that was based on the show. But this was an animated series in Japan that actually had aboard the battleship something called the resort room, which was in fact a holodeck for virtual reality. We could go in and act out different scenarios. Pretty cool. So today you can go buy the Oculus Rift, and this is the S. Isn't there a new version that's coming out? They've just announced a prototype, something
Quest, there's Rift S, there's a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, the bunch. But this $399 list price for the Rift S with the two separate controllers and the hood. And the hood, I guess the other new one is the one that has the screen built in. This is the one you need to still put a phone in.
No. So Rift is one that needs to be hooked up to a PC, a gaming PC.
Oh, okay.
And the Quest, which they have the new version now, it's still called Quest something. That is completely standalone.
Okay, that's the one.
And I can tell you, if anybody here has heard about virtual reality and wants to experience something, start with the Quest. The Quest is absolutely an amazing piece of technology. It's a grand toy. It's fantastic for any age. I'm like, if you're 90 and listening to it and you want to experience something new, I would definitely recommend it. Unfortunately, they do not make the setup easy. You need to go through like registering to Facebook. You need to do these set of steps. You do not just boot it up and start playing. But other than that, it's a fantastic toy.
You just mentioned something that triggered something in me that I think I want to mention now, so I don't forget. A lot of people are cutting away from different social media platforms, going to alternative platforms. Parler is a good example. Gab, Rumble, all these different places that are alternatives to YouTube and Twitter and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
People need to think about one thing. If you use Facebook to log into other places and you cancel your Facebook account, don't do it. Figure out first how to log into those places without Facebook, because you will lose your access. So it's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Yeah, that's true also for the Quest, by the way. People who bought the Quest paid for games with their Quest, and those are tied to their Facebook account,
Yes.
and
yes.
then went and canceled Facebook because they just
And
don't
lost
want
it.
Facebook. They lost it. If
Yep.
you want to use something with a Facebook account, create a separate Facebook account for
Yeah.
that. Don't link it to your identity. Think about a Facebook account, the personal one, the one that you use to log into Facebook as an SSN number. You don't want to share it. Not anymore.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that's just a little tidbit there. Self-driving cars. One of the very first representations of that was in a novel called Paradise and Iron by Miles Brewer in 1930. And this was where it shows a motorcycle. And this graphic that I found for this, I don't know if this is actually from the book itself, but this is certainly a 1930-ish graphic. But it was where autonomous cars, the concept of autonomous cars, were first mentioned in a novel, 1930. And everybody remembers the Johnny Cab, right, from Total Recall. One of the best moments in this movie is this, all the animated or the robot controlled Johnny Cabs when he got to Mars and he's riding around, and the Johnny Cab is just a mannequin in the front, but a very, it was a fully functioning android like character, limited in what he can do, but a lot of fun in the movie. So that was 1990. And then
I was,
today,
yeah, but I think the Sleepy, Woody Allen's Sleepy also had an autonomous car, no?
did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to go
I
look.
remember the car looked weird. I
Yeah,
don't remember if it was autonomous.
I got to go look. Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I need to go back and watch all those old Woody Allen movies. Oh boy, I used to go to film festivals. They would have local theater would have for 12 hours. They would run nothing but just one right after the other. Um, what was the first one he did? What's Up, Tiger Lily was a movie he
Yeah.
did where he bought the rights to a Japanese spy movie and then dubbed over English words over the Japanese. It was hysterical. It's absolutely one of the best movies. And then all of his other stuff, Bananas and Take the Money and Run. And we would go and just
Yeah.
hang out the whole day watching one after the other. Okay, so today, the entry level, I guess this is the entry level price for a Tesla, Tesla 3,
Must be.
39,190 Tesla Model 3. From there, the next model up is like 80,000. But is the Tesla Model 3 fully autonomous?
You
Yeah.
can, if you add, you need to pay like an extra 10,000.
Yeah,
to get
you can get it.
the
You
license.
can get it. Yeah, this
Yeah.
price. So this price is not necessarily
The
for
hardware is all there.
Yep. So mobile phones and watches, and I tied these together because of Dick Tracy, because of the fact that the wrist radio, which became a two-way TV later in the comic series, is tied closely to the same concept behind like the iWatch and the iPhone. But Dick Tracy, wrist radio, 1946. They added the two-way TV in 1964. And then we have the first appearance of the communicator on Star Trek, which would represent a mobile phone. The Cage in 1964, one of the early episodes. So today you can go out and buy buy a new Apple Watch Series 5 GPS for $574 at Walmart, and Walmart didn't have any buy outright. Well, at least the link I went to didn't show any buy outright prices for iPhone 12, but they did have the month-to-month price for financing it. So anywhere from $31 to $52 a month for 24 months to buy the 12 Pro Max.
But I thought you'll put the new StarTAC.
StarTAC?
Motorola has come out with an Android phone clam, exactly
Oh.
like the StarTAC, that
Oh, yeah.
the screen is folding. Yeah. Nobody likes it, by the way.
Oh, but it's so retro. It's cool. Okay, video conferencing. This is an interesting one to look at. Anybody remember the Jetsons? Back in that premiered in 1962, and they had notice at the top they've got you look at the screen where you see George Jetson on the screen, and I can't remember what's his wife's name. Something his wife. What was it? Meet George Jetson.
Jane, his wife.
Jane, his wife. That's it. Okay. And Elroy. So at the top, you see the little device with a red light on it. That's the camera. So they were thinking about this stuff. These are cartoonists. This is amazing. Hanna-Barbera did this back in 1962. And then I went to the 1964 World's Fair in New York City, Flushing. It ran for, well, I guess it was 2 years it was open, 1964 and 65. And it was an incredible showcase of new technology that was there. But one of the amazing things was AT&T had their video phone, and they had booths set up around the park where you could go. Like, and then what my family did is my grandparents went to one booth, and I went with my parents to the other booth, and we called each other on the video phone. It was expensive back then. It was a couple of bucks to do it, and that was a lot of money in '64. But we were actually, and this is a picture of one of the booths they had set up for video calling. So a precursor to video conferencing, and then video conferencing was highlighted in the future and Back to the Future, the original movie in 1986, where they did just Hollywood methods of representing video conferencing here. And what you see up next to the Jetsons here is a picture of Zoom, and that's just from the graphic that I grabbed. So Back to the Future in 1986, AT&T 1964, actual reality, they did it. So, and the last one here was interesting. And this is one I grabbed the entire thing, and that's why I give Lisa Quigley at Alta her due credit here. But there was a book. I don't know that it was used in the movie, but in the 1953 book, Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury used something called seashells, where the person could put these things up against their ears and listen to radio or listen to sounds or whatever. And this was a precursor to earbuds, actually being able to put some type of audio device, wireless audio device up against your ears and listen to it. So you got earbuds today and many, many different iterations. Gosh, there's so many knockoffs out there now. It's insane. Everywhere. Just and you can get them as cheap as, what did I see? The cheapest one's like 29 bucks. Who knows how good it is? But first concept that people saw out there was the so-called seashells thimble radio that was talked about in Fahrenheit 451 back in 1953. Thank goodness for sci-fi, because it's usually the place where these concepts are tested and then they become reality later.
I thought they were earrings.
That's a good idea. They get tiny computer earrings. You can hang a little CPU, a little thing on each ear. Yeah. And I thought of other ones too. I mean, I thought of in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, when they first go to the cloud Lando Calrissian's gas mining operation, right, on that planet. His chief of staff guy had this wraparound thing on his head that was a neural interface. You guys remember that? It was a thing that wrapped around his ears and the back of his head, and he would control things using his mind. To he was it was one point where he's standing there, and Lando sends him some type of a instruction, and you see him open his eyes like this, like, oh, and he got it through the headset, and then implemented whatever it was he had to change using the headset without any other intervention. Lots and lots and lots of examples of futuristic stuff. Oh, it was a movie recently I watched from the 80s. Actually was filmed in Raleigh because of the companies that were here. It had Natalie Wood in it just before she died. It was a Michael Crichton story about how they would record your memories. They had it looked like a special videotape with lots of lasers on it. It had Cliff Robertson in it, and it had Christopher Walken in it. And I'll remember the name in a second. But this was where you wore this special helmet. It started out, the prototype helmet was this giant thing. And they would record your memories.
Brainstorm?
What's that?
Brainstorm.
Brainstorm. That's it. Brainstorm. And they could record your memories, and somebody else could wear the helmet and play it back. Or you could watch real time, somebody wearing the helmet, transmitting from what they're seeing to somebody else wearing a helmet watching. But it turned out to be this insidious thing where you could actually blackmail or imprint people and change their memories and all this stuff. It turned out to be this project, but it was filmed. The office scenes and the outdoor scenes were filmed in Research Triangle Park. And this is back. Was it the 80s, Nick? Did you see a date?
83.
83.
And by the way, I think Sam in chat came up with that.
Yeah. So that, oh my gosh, 83. So this was some amazing stuff.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
And now they actually think they're at the point now where they can detect the electrical impulses of a memory, but they're just not sure how they can save it or reproduce it yet. But they think that they can actually do that. So what's that new TV show on Netflix? Upload?
Amazon Upload, yeah.
Upload, yeah, where the guy dies, but you've had your whole memory uploaded, and now you live in a virtual reality forever because you're dead.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't know if I want to do that.
Well, watch the show, then you won't want to do that.
Yeah, it's too weird. I mean, yeah, it's too weird.
No, they play with a few good ideas over there.
Yeah,
but there's also just like what you're describing in Brainstorm. There's Until the End of the World, Wim Wenders movie from '91, where there's this machine that records your dreams. And the cool thing about their approach, it wasn't like this insidious device or anything, but it was something that once you started, you got hooked up on it, and it's like an addiction. You're starting to live inside your dream because you cannot disconnect from it. So it was a different approach completely.
There's another more recent Inception.
Yeah.
What a great movie. I mean, talk about complicated sci-fi that gets into just down in the weeds of this concept. It's an excellent movie. If you haven't watched it, excellent movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. Really good concept. And there was one other thing I was going to mention. But all right, well, that's the end of it. The Computers 2K Now specials. We went off into a different place today, just to find out what the history of a lot of this stuff is.
Well, you're damn good.
Thank you for the history lesson. But I was driving back from South Carolina last night, and Premiere Networks re-syndicates old episodes of Art Bell's show, Coast to Coast AM.
Oh, wow.
So the episode and it all works into this. The episode last night that I was listening to, he was talking to a scientist about computers being self-aware and conscious, and speeds of computers and all that stuff. And it was pretty funny that you did the whole specials based on that stuff. And they were talking about like, oh, by the year 2010, we think that it's possible that some of this stuff will be available. And the show was from I think the episode last night was from like 93 or something like that. So it was pretty funny. But to hear them talk about, like, oh, everything is in megahertz and it might be gigahertz someday. And I'm thinking, I just bought a 3.6 gigahertz CPU for like $290 or something like that. And they're talking about storage. Oh, will we have enough storage to, will there be enough storage to hold a person's brain and all this knowledge and how the computer's going to talk? It was pretty funny to hear Art
Got to
Bell
go
and this other
back
guy
and
talking about it.
listen to find Bill Gates' quote on why would anybody ever need more than a 640K?
Yep. Well, he's the
On a
expert in
computer.
everything.
Yeah. And
Well, he never
a
said
10
that.
meg hard drive. Why would you need something more than
Why
that?
would you?
Yeah.
Really, why would you?
Yeah, true. If you're running Lotus 1-2-3 and maybe have a couple of games, that's all you need.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Spence.
You're welcome.
Do you guys store images on Google Photos?
Not
No,
anymore.
I don't, but go ahead, talk about it.
So it's no longer unlimited free. It used to be
I mean,
as long as
it
you
still is, but it's not going to be.
Yeah. So they announced that starting June. So
Yeah.
they're giving like a lot of time, but I think June 2021, they're no longer going to be unlimited. They're going to be in the same quota as the rest of the Google account, which is 15 gigabytes, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's going to count toward your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any photo added after that, even if it's in regular resolution, because if you would, the way it worked up until now is if you allowed it to automatically upload to the unlimited quota, unlimited storage, it would not save it in the original resolution. It will save it in a good enough resolution to print a 6x4 picture, I think. I don't remember if it was 180 or 1920 or something like that in terms of resolution. So now they announced that they're no longer going to make it unlimited. It's going to count toward your storage quota starting June. So up until June, you can, I'm guessing abusers will start testing the limits, especially with the announcement dropping now. But if you have more than 15 gigabytes of storage, or you're planning to keep on using it, know that it's gonna hit the limit. I'll give it to them. They say that anything that has been uploaded up till now will not count toward that quota. So that's sort of big out of them with this type of announcement, but still, there's probably a lot of people who rely on it, especially most people who use Android phones, I guess, right? Because that comes built in and baked in. So first of all, know that there's a clock ticking on storage, and second, start thinking about alternatives if you're going to need that much storage. 15 gigabytes of images is a lot, but it depends on how you use it, right? So might not be enough. What any of you, Spence, do you have any solution for like online photo storage that is free?
Well,
or that is not like a subscription?
not really. I mean, Amazon, how much does Amazon give you? I wouldn't
Amazon
trust.
used
I
to
wouldn't want to
be
do that either.
unlimited as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't used their solution, and
I haven't.
so
I haven't. I have some stuff stored in Apple Cloud, like my phone is backed up, but I pay for that. Um,
but do they store the entire content of the phone?
yes.
Like if you have a 64 gigabytes, then it's 64
Yeah,
gigabytes.
you buy like 99 cents is for, I forget how much you get for 99 cents a month. That's enough for me for all my photos and videos on my phone. That's
Okay, and
backed up
that's paid
automatic.
for.
It's the cloud. It's backed up automatically. So if you have multiple devices, as soon as you as soon as you do something on your iPhone, it's carried over to your iPad and to your Mac.
Yeah, that's how Google
Yeah,
Photos works
yeah,
as well.
same thing.
Uploads it
Yeah,
automatically.
but it's not free. But it's reasonable.
So
I mean, it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So one thing I can say, there are a few free and open source solutions that are based on self-hosting. That means you run your own server somewhere, whether in the cloud or but you own that. And so if if you're running it on a service provider, you can always move it to another service provider in its entirety and all that. There's always a technical issue there, right? Uh, but you can also just buy a good real really big hard drive, connect it to USB to a Raspberry Pi and put it at home, and you can self-host it as well. Yes, you'll need someone to help you set up if you're not technical enough, but it's not the end of the world. You can also buy stuff like Synology or QNAP or uh, other one, I forget its name, Dabo, I think, or something like that. That you can just put in hard drives in it, and it provides the software out of the box. And you can install stuff like Nextcloud, which is an open source alternative to Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. And but that's what I've been using for a while, and it mostly works. That's the real problem, probably comparing to a Google application or an Apple application, right? There's that. So there's something called Resilio Sync, which used to be called BitTorrent Sync, which is an interesting concept. It's something you run on multiple devices, and you are able to transfer things directly between these devices. The nice thing about this one is technical wise, you don't need to know a lot. You just need to know to distinguish between a computer and a mobile device, and that's it, right? That's the amount of technical understanding that you need, and then you can connect between 2 points. So you can run Resilio Sync on your PC and Resilio Sync on your mobile device, and then all you need to do is just hook them up, just connect them. There's like a process, a QR code that you picture or
I
something like that.
I distinguish between those devices by how much they weigh.
Yeah, usually, yeah. But
It's
it's
the best
simple
way.
enough. That's
How
right.
much?
That's the
Okay,
idea.
a heavier device as opposed to a lightweight device. So it's that's
Right.
all.
And usually you want the photos from the light device to go to the heavier
That's it.
device. Right. So yeah,
Don't take a picture of anything heavy. Like don't
exactly.
take a picture of a car or a rock because that costs more to
Or a
save it.
mountain.
Take a
Right.
picture of a cloud. That's very cheap.
Yeah, that picture behind you there. Now, that's a heavy one.
It is. That's a 17-story tall mine, copper mine in Alaska called the Kennebec Mine.
Well, I mean,
So
you guys are talking about storing photos and stuff. And this morning, um, Gal was asking me, why wasn't it synced with Google? Yesterday morning, I got up and I use WhatsApp on the computer also, and I sent Gal a message, and it came back and it told me that my phone wasn't online, so it can't do it. I said, what do you mean it's not online? So I turned over, doesn't come on. Press the button, it comes on, starts booting. I said, "Oh boy, battery must have died." Nope. Starts booting and dies. So I tried different batteries and different chargers. No. So I went and I had a spare one, and I took it out and went. It needs to go through the whole installation and this and that. And I realized that the only thing that it restored was the contacts, but not everything. It was good enough, but there were a bunch missing. Then I installed WhatsApp, and it brought up most everything, but still, the last day was missing. So, Gal, you sent me something with the sentence of the day, Friday, I think. That's not
Yeah,
there. I don't have it. That's not there. It did not, but it
because that was probably backed up on
WhatsApp, I guess,
well,
because
WhatsApp keeps its content on your phone, right? Nothing in the
uh,
servers. They do
well,
not store anything in their servers, but
but
you can enable backup to Google Drive.
I don't know
On
if
Android, it's Google
well,
Drive. On iPhone, I think it's the iPhone storage,
but
the
the
Apple
thing
storage.
is that the only thing, I mean, there were a bunch messages, none of them. All the texts are gone.
Right.
Um, bookmarks are gone. I mean, it's no big deal, but it was just it's a pain, and I never really did anything. And you were saying, and Nick was saying, I don't know, back it up to Google. Don't back it up to Verizon Cloud.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
fine. So I went and I looked, and it says that it is, but the only thing that is configured, and the only thing I can configure is contacts. Well, no, device data. Any idea what device data means?
No, so there's two things. Okay. On an Android, this is specifically to an
That's
Android
for an
device,
Android.
right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So specifically to an Android device, because the OS is Google, it is hooked up deeply into your Google account, right?
Okay.
One of the first thing it asks you is to log into your Google account when you set it up.
Right, and I did. Yeah.
On an Apple, right? It'll be an Apple ID. So it's the same idea. So what they do once you log in, there's a question: do you want this device to be backed up? What it does, right? It keeps on the configuration of the device. It stores it in the cloud. So things like, and that'll probably surprise you, or maybe not, I don't know. But things like the Wi-Fi networks that you've connected to, right? They're stored in encrypted storage on your account. And when you log in with your passwords and everything, then it can fetch it back
And it
and
did.
set up a new device with it.
That's right. It did. I did
That's
not have
one
to.
part,
Yeah.
right? That's the device configuration. So Bluetooth pairing, stuff like that, all of that, that can be restored. And that makes it easier to restore it. But you're talking about calendar, contacts, photos. Each of these parts is individually controlled by a separate application. So photos will be Google Photos, contacts will be Google Contacts, calendars will be Google Calendar, etc. And so each account has sync settings. And you need to make sure that the sync is on and there's no errors. You'll get a notification if there's an error on the sync, right? But I don't know why, but it seems like on your end, either those were not, the application weren't installed,
There
maybe
was,
because it was always the Verizon defaults,
and
right?
which had
And
nothing
that's,
on it.
yeah, so that's probably what
But
happens with Verizon branded phones. They probably don't have those switched on by default.
I logged into Chrome, and on the upper right, where you have your picture when you logged in or whatever,
Yeah.
it said paused. So I had to, and I went and read about how do I do it to Google? And it says you just have to go and configure it and it'll sync. And it says
Yeah.
sync paused. So I had to click on it
Okay.
and it started. So I don't know how long it's been like this, but the thing is, you don't think about it when you do it. And I mean, I'm great about backing up everything computer wise, but the phone, because you just don't think about this, but this is the worst thing because it's only there.
That's true.
And it was
The nice thing about phones, though, right, as opposed to computers, um, I think every single person here, right, has been at least burned once with losing stuff from a phone,
Mhm.
and that doesn't happen again. Then they know exactly what to look
Well,
for.
see, I mean, it's in a way, it's good that it happened like that because it cleans up your phone now. That's it. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have all those. I mean, but later on yesterday evening, it said, "Hey, there's a system update. You
Update.
want to do it now?" So I was working. I said, "No, not now." And the next hour, I said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." It took about an hour and a half, but the amount of junk that it loaded into the apps and all that, I had to go and delete oodles of apps
Well,
that were
those are
bloatware. That's what they are.
yeah, bloatware from Verizon. The
Yeah,
updates from a carrier are just
maybe I
terrible.
didn't look in the beginning, but I said,
No, I don't think
boy,
you have a choice. It's not
no,
like you
I
have a
deleted a
choice.
lot of them. I could do some of them
After, but you
after the
do not
fact.
have
Yeah,
a choice of not installing it. It's
right.
like it'll push it
Yeah,
and yeah.
but the update would have been a lot faster if they were not there. Because
Look,
when it's updating,
the
it says updating 1 out of 250 some. And I said,
I
what
buy m-
200?
I buy my phones from OnePlus,
Yeah.
and and their OS is an Android, of course, but they call it Oxygen OS. It's like a modified Android. The same, by the way, it's the same with Samsung, right? Samsung has their own version of the Android on their phones. But the they do not push bloatware, so that's one thing I applaud them for. They
That's
keep
nice.
it
Yeah.
as close to the original OS as possible. They just add their own, features into it, but that's just in the configuration, in the settings. It's not like additional applications or anything.
Well, it's fine. I mean, it's working now. I had to go and install the ringtone that I like, the old ringing and
Yeah,
little bitty things like that.
yeah, I know.
And it's fine now. But I said, yep, it needs to be backed up. And we'll see if I mean, is there a way to check if it's backed up? That you know?
No, really.
Not really.
Yeah, no, something that really annoys me. You cannot like because the only way you get that backup is if
Some.
you register a new phone. Yeah,
No. Oh well.
I know.
It's all right.
So Amnon, you like your favorite ringtone. That's the theme song to Gilligan's Island, right?
Huh?
Your ringtone is the theme song to
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island.
Ring,
Yeah.
ring. Yeah. But it was an interesting day. I had the at the same time when I realized that the phone is not working, I'm looking at the monitor and the terminals look like they are Delta Force is dropping out. And I said, what is going on? And I couldn't log in. So I went on the other machine that has AT&T, and I could log in. I could go to Delta Force. Say, okay, it did drop out. There's something also hiccuped on Spectrum, which is fine. You know, it happens. But it was at the same time, so, and that's first thing in the morning, and didn't have breakfast yet. You know, but in the meantime, um, I said, all right, so I'm using the spare one. I'm going to have to buy another phone as a spare. So I went looking, and it's about $40. Um, Kathy was saying, no, actually, I was thinking, maybe it's time to get a new phone. I mean, new phone. It's been years since I had a new phone. So I went looking on Verizon. I said, forget it. Anything decent is like over $200. And I said, I'm not spending that kind of money for what I'm doing.
You can
And
you can put it on like just $50 a month for 2 years. Come on.
yeah, right. So I started looking, and Kathy was saying, I don't mind having a new phone that has more storage and all that. So I went looking and found that they had the, oh, shit. And I don't remember which was the Motorola.
Yeah, Moto G, Moto Z. There's a few good Motorola
Yeah, so
phones.
now the Moto G Power is the one that Kathy found. Oh, I know what it was. It was the LG Stylo 6. And I'm looking, and it looks real nice, and it's a little bit bigger and all that. And I don't like it because the battery is not replaceable.
You
Yeah, I
hard to
know.
find replaceable
not
batteries
easily?
today.
I know. Not easily. You can't just open it. It's soldered in there and
Yeah.
all that. But anyway,
Oh,
so I told I told Kathy about it, and she read, and she came back, and she said they're saying that it's slow, that you are much better off with the Moto G Power. So I went right on that. Hey, it's a bigger display, and 3 days battery. And I went and looking to see, is it replaceable? No, it's not, but it's a huge battery in there. And you can do it, but I wouldn't want to do that. And it's a nice phone. On Verizon, $249. I said, well, no, we can do that. Later on, I went on the web and I just typed it to read a little bit more about it. And you know how when you type something, they have like, it's for sale, like 4 or 5 icons. And I see that at Best Buy and at Target, it's $179. So I went to Best Buy and I looked and said, yeah. And I'm saying to myself, why wouldn't Verizon do that? Why wouldn't they sell it to you for these prices?
And when you buy it in Best Buy, do you buy it locked to Verizon or do you buy it
it's unlocked.
unlocked?
It's unlocked.
No brainer.
Yeah, I know. And the same thing at the Target. It's unlocked.
And the best thing is that when you're going to get an over-the-air update, it won't be bloated with the Verizon crap.
Well, I still have to stick the SIM in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's not that has nothing to do with the
yeah.
OS update.
I wish that you could have the SD card. I know mine has a room for SD card. That you could tell it everything that you install, put it on the SD card.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But there are other tricks. So you say you wanted a replaceable battery, right? I mean, the solution today is a battery pack with a cable. Because the design of the phones today is that the battery is closed shut in it. There's good and there's bad, right?
It's fine because I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking about Spence using his phone and you using your phone and Nick using his phone. And you never complain about batteries. I mean, you've been using it for years and it's working and you don't have to replace. On my phone, I have to replace the battery about every year and a half. But it's a $7 battery.
I understand.
So I got used to it all these years. So I said, you know what? Never mind. I mean, you can replace it, but they say you have to take it to a place like U-Break, iFix, or something like that.
Yeah,
And
because
the battery is about $20. fine. If it after a few years, if it goes kind of weak, okay, fine. Pay them to do that. But it's yeah. So I'm thinking, maybe I don't need it for Kathy. I hate to have two different phones though, but it's fine these days with the same charger, same everything. It's fine.
Hey, with the magnetic
Anyway,
tips, it
yeah,
doesn't really matter.
right. That's what I mean. It's the same.
Yeah.
So nothing. All right. Anybody wants to talk about something, anything different? Okay. So listen to this article. Microsoft is urging users to abandon telephone-based multi-factor authentication, like one-time codes sent via SMS and voice calls, and instead replace them with the newer MFA technologies, like app-based authenticators and security keys. The warning comes from Alex Weinert, Director of Identity Security at Microsoft. For the past year, Weinert has been advocating on Microsoft's behalf, urging users to embrace and enable MFA multi factor authentication for their online account. Citing internal Microsoft statistics, Weinert said in a blog post last year that users who enable multi-factor authentication ended up blocking around 99.9% of automated attacks against their Microsoft accounts. But in a follow-up blog today, he says that if users have to choose between multiple MFA solutions, they should stay away from telephone-based. The Microsoft exec cites several known security issues, not with MFA, but with the state of the telephone networks today. Weinert said that both SMS and voice calls are transmitted in clear text and can be easily intercepted by determined attackers using techniques and tools like software-defined radios, femtocells, or SS7 intercept services. So if you're using anything that sends you an SMS with a number or whatever, if there's nothing else, I guess I would say use it.
Still better.
Yeah. But if you can change, absolutely.
You know what the saddest thing about that article is?
But
If you go to Microsoft account and you want to enable your multi-factor authentication,
yeah,
you must first enable multi-factor authentication on the phone as a backup.
well, see, so they say one thing, but they do
It's not
another.
them, it's everyone, and it's infuriating. And moreover, and I understand the reasoning, I just hate the choice. You cannot use voice over IP numbers. So it must be a real carrier number. I do not
Yeah.
use my real carrier number anywhere except for a few multi-factor authentications that are forcing me to, right? Because I use Google Voice. I
Yeah.
have a virtual number.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number that identifies me to the world. That's my number where I want to receive everything. And no, that is not allowed. But that number is more secure than any other option out there, but I'm not allowed to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, security.
Yeah.
Or how about banks that limit you to a 12 or 20 character passwords?
Or four
Can't use more.
four-digit pins. Yeah.
Well, 4-digit pins, that's for touch dial stuff, right? That's usually not what you do to gain full access to something. But it's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me do whatever I want.
Let me stay secure.
Streaming. Dish Network announced that it will permanently shut down all of Sling Media's Slingbox services and end support for the devices in 2
Wow.
years, at which point they'll no longer work. On Monday,
Wow.
Dish's Sling Media unit announced the Slingbox servers will be permanently taken offline 24 months from November 9th, 2020. Until then, most Slingbox model will continue to work normally, but the number of supported devices for viewing will steadily decrease as versions of the Sling Player app becomes outdated and or lose compatibility. In an FAQ about the shutdown, Dish said Slingbox is being discontinued because we've had to make room for new innovative products so that we can continue to serve our customers in the best way possible. Now, Sling will not be releasing any new products. Most authorized resellers have been out of stock of the Slingbox devices for a couple of years, according to the company. Sling
Yeah, that's true.
Media, what?
That's true. Sling boxes have become distinct, extinct.
Sling Media was acquired by EchoStar in 2007 for $380 million, which at the time was Dish's parent company. So, yep, Sling is going to go away.
I know a lot of people who swore by it back
Yeah.
at the day, back in the day. I never used it.
Now, here's something that people should be aware of. According to a notice posted on Tuesday by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, about 350,000 second generation Ring doorbells, 8,700 of which were sold in Canada, have been recalled over fire and burn concerns.
Oh,
Ring and Amazon Smart Home brand has received 85 incident reports of incorrect doorbell screws installed, with 23 of those igniting and resulting in minor property damage.
Doorbell screws?
Yep. Listen to that.
What do you mean?
The company,
Doorbells.
the company has also received 8 reports of minor burns. The video doorbell's battery can overheat when the incorrect screws are used for installation, posing
On the back
fire
of the unit where you
Don't-
plug it into the wiring,
I don't know.
because that's the only place it could touch the battery. Maybe the screws are too long.
Something. The $100 rings being recalled were sold online at Amazon.com and Ring.com from June 2020 to October 2020, with a model number 5UM5E5. 5UM5E5. On Ring's company support website, consumer can either enter their model and serial number printed on the back of the Ring and see if their doorbell is part of the recall. Did you get the numbers, Spence? I know you. 5UM5E5. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of damage you can do with wrong screws if you are substituting screws and they reach where they're not supposed to reach.
sounds like they got screwed.
I guess.
I installed a Ring spotlight camera.
Yeah.
The other day. It was a kind of a weird installation because the person wanted to use it in the ceiling, which it says it can be installed in the ceiling, but it was in an alcove outside a front door, so that the ceiling, there was a wood that blocked the view. So what I had to do was install 2 round exterior electrical box extensions to make it lower it 3.5 inches so you could see underneath to get it to work. It's not optimal, but this is what they want. There was no other place to install it without putting in additional wiring. They wanted it to look at the pathway coming up to the door, and there's no other place to install it. So it works okay. It's a little goofy, but it does work.
Anyway, it's something to be aware of.
Well,
All
there's
right.
so many knockoffs out there, Ring doorbell knockoffs.
It doesn't matter. I mean, the fact is that it's the Ring.
No, I know that, but I'm saying is that there's people are buying in more inexpensive ones, and it's like on Amazon, you go and you see the same one advertised as 16 different brands. It's all made by the same manufacturer somewhere in China, and people are just rebranding it with their own name.
Yep. Okay. Anything else? It's that time. Did Nick fall asleep or no, he walked away?
Here he is.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
What?
I was wondering if you fell asleep on the desk or you walked away. I guess you walked away.
Yeah, I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Listening to you talk. Listening to you talk. I was putting out the fire that my Ring doorbell caused. My house was burning down because of my Ring doorbell.
That's
It's
why I
crazy.
gotta
I
keep
put a screw through the middle of it, and I guess I must have hit the battery and it exploded.
But you know
I'm
what? You
gonna
need
sue
to
Ring.
hang a fire extinguisher right next to it on in front of your house.
A little one.
On
A
the
little
outside
one.
of the door.
Yeah.
Break in case of Ring.
Wow, I just realized, Nick, this is another case of Ring of Fire.
Oh, it goes burn, burn, burn.
No, the Xbox thing.
Oh, the red ring. Oh, yes. That's fake news. Vaping into their Xbox.
Anyway, no, talking about little things. I like to roast almonds, and we have a little bottle with a little spray head that you pump, and for salt water, just
Pumping
salt
your
it.
almonds? I see. Okay.
Yeah. And those things get clogged. They stop working. I don't know. And I went and looked and ordered some on Amazon and some on eBay. None of them fit. But then I said, okay, these things don't work, right? The one that the original ones. I said, oh, I'm going to try. I took a pair of pliers and pulled and got them apart and opened them and looked. And there's a little piece inside that has 4 little holes, and those holes apparently were clogged. And I soaked that thing in all kind of stuff. Went in the garage, gave it a good blow job with the compressor, and put them back like new. It's amazing. So if you do have a bottle that has one of those spray that you press up and down, and it doesn't work, nothing to lose. Take it apart. It comes. You have to pull real hard, and it separates from the cover. That's it.
You're on the wrong show. Don't you mean to be calling it?
No,
the
I just thought I'll throw that out because, and I said, I need to do a video, and I said, now somebody did it already probably, but I didn't see any. And
Do a video.
It's just amazing that things like that. And I'm reading people say, "Oh, ours stopped working. I can't find one." I say, and I mean, it took a week before I even said, "Oh, let me try." Anyway,
Man pulls too hard on bottle.
That's a worldwide problem, by the way.
Yep, it is. Okay, Nick,
Just
did you
ask
see?
Jeffrey Toobin.
Did you get the 2 articles that I posted? One about Trump media. No, you didn't.
Did
Where?
you yesterday? No,
Yeah.
I was very
Okay,
disconnected.
you need to read it because
Where did you post this?
on I can't remember in one of the I mean I'll read it real quick. President Trump has told friends he wants to start a digital media company to clobber Fox News and undermine the conservative-friendly network sources tell Axios. The state of play. Some Trump advisors think Fox News makes them made a mistake and blah, blah, blah. But in calling Biden, I mean, they're not your friend if you're conservative. Here's Trump's plan, according to the source. There's been a lot of speculation about Trump starting a cable channel. But getting carried on cable systems would be expensive and time-consuming. Instead, Trump is considering a digital media channel that would stream online, which would be cheaper and quicker to start. Trump's digital offering would likely charge a monthly fee to MAGA fans. Many are Fox News viewers, and he'd aim to replace the network. The $5.99 a month Fox Nation streaming service, which has an 85% conversion rate, free trials to paid customers. So it'll be interesting. It says Trump's database of email and cell phone contacts would be a huge head start.
It's got to be affordable.
So
no matter
yeah,
what,
I mean,
no matter how much you may or may not like it,
But the
people
LA
are
Times, LA Times says that president's unlikely to create Trump TV. That's what they're saying.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Fake news. Very fake news.
It will be interesting. I always wondered why he didn't do it when all these nobody would cover him on the national. Hey, have your own thing, and they did have something, right, Nick? I mean, Lara did something.
Yeah. I mean, they've done plenty of stuff on their Facebook accounts.
But yeah,
and
that
Twitter.
would be very interesting. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? All right. So thanks, guys. This was fun. Thanks, Nick, Spence, Gal, and good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Dina, Arlette, and Micha. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together here. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Nick tonight is doing his AT&T show at Against the Norm at atnshow.com. With video.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep. And if you're in Wilmington, you can also listen to it on 106.7 Big Talker in Wilmington. But yeah, it's going to be a good show, I'm sure, like every week is. Well, and Tuesday you're doing infection podcast, and this week it's going to be great because you have Spectrum.
The internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy
So,
what happens
yeah.
when the internet will give
So
you.
if you want to watch it, and that's gaming, survival games podcast with Brian Aldridge. It's on Twitch / Infection Podcast. One word. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.